Have you ever heard of the gold rush? The gold rush took place in the United States back in the 1800s, I believe, and it was a time in our nation's history where people wanted to get rich. They wanted to find gold that was being discovered out west. And that's what this book is about. So I would like to share it with you. This is a lesson 25 leveled reader, and it should have some good vocabulary that will help us out this week. So, Rushing for Gold by Sienna Jagadorn. Gold in the Hills. In January of 1848, a man named James Marshall found gold in a river near a mill. The mill was in the northern part of California near San Francisco. Marshall and the owner of the mill tried to keep this a secret, but soon the secret got out. Later that year, a man ran down the streets of San Francisco, waving bottles of shiny yellow gold dust over his head. A crowd of people approached him. Sure enough, there was gold in the nearby hills. The photograph there shows a gold nugget, and the caption, which is a graphic feature in many books, says, "People rush to California to search for gold nuggets like this one." Before gold was found near San Francisco, only about 1,000 people lived in the town. But by the end of 1850, almost 25,000 people had come to San Francisco from all over the world. Why? They wanted to get rich. The gold rush had begun. The 49ers. In 1849, there were no airplanes. Railroads would not roll across the United States for another 20 years. So gold seekers, known as the 49ers, made a choice. They traveled to California by land, 2,200 miles from the East Coast, or they traveled by ocean, sailing around South America. This map from the 1800s shows the parts of California where gold was found. This is an old looking map, but they must, it's hard to focus, but the mining district of California. So some places marked perhaps where gold had been found. Traveling over the land. The trip across land was faster, but it was still long and hard. Travelers went on foot and in wagons. They faced great dangers. Snow fell early on California's mountain slopes. This forced travelers to stop and wait for spring. Summer travel wasn't much better. Mountain roads were hot and dry. Sickness and hunger killed many travelers. Travelers in wagons had to go up mountain slopes. Can you imagine being an animal such as a horse or an ox pulling those wagons up those steep hills? And how uneven those paths would have been? Dangerous, I would think. Looking for gold. Once the 49ers got to California, they rushed to find gold. They searched in one section of a river at a time. They swirled river water and dirt around in a pan. Sand and pebbles sloshed over the sides. Because gold is heavy, it stayed in the pan. 49ers used pans like this one to find pieces of gold. They would swirl the water in or pick up some water with some of the sand in and swirl it around to see if gold would appear. They had a special technique that kind of worked well for that. This caption says, "Mining towns like this one grew bigger during the gold rush." They had to build buildings quickly, I think, to make room for all of the people that were coming to look for gold. Boom towns, they were called. Towns grew very fast during the gold rush. They were called boom towns because they suddenly boomed or exploded in size. Many boom towns were crowded and dangerous. Can you imagine back in the Wild West days if someone had found gold and people knew it, how dangerous that could be? I imagined others would probably try to steal that gold. And I'm sure that's why they tried to keep their gold finds a secret. Not everyone got rich. Miners often spent all their money getting to California. They believed they would find enough gold to get rich. But so many miners were searching for gold that only a few could succeed. Some found only enough gold to pay for their food. So there are some poor miners because not every miner found gold. There's an old photograph. A 49er holds his equipment. I wonder if that's where the San Francisco 49ers football team got their name. Could be. Food, equipment, and other supplies were expensive during the gold rush. People paid higher prices because they all thought they would soon be rich. If a miner didn't find gold, he could easily lose all his money. And I imagine the people out there that were selling the food and equipment were making a lot of money at the time, weren't they? Some got rich. Many early miners did get rich. People found gold in almost every part of Northern California. Some miners found one nugget that weighed 160 pounds. That's an adult-size person. It would be worth more than $1 million today. It took a lot of small nuggets like this to make someone rich. Not all the people who get rich were gold miners. Some people went to California during the gold rush to open stores or other businesses such as hotels and banks. Since miners were willing to pay high prices, these business people got very rich, and they never had to look for gold. A man from New York named Levi Strauss became rich selling blue jeans to the 49ers. Have you heard of Levi's jeans? There's the man, Levi Strauss, who got rich selling Levi's. We still buy Levi's today. Boom towns to cities. The gold rush of 1849 changed everything in Northern California. Some mining camps and boom towns turned into cities. Others became ghost towns. That means they were deserted. The people left. And now, thanks to gold in the hills, San Francisco is one of the biggest cities in our country. If you'll remember back to earlier this year, one of our stories called Pop's Bridge was about the Golden Gate Bridge that was built in San Francisco. So San Francisco was built and became so big because of the gold rush in part. Some boom towns turned into ghost towns like this one. If you travel out west, you still see every once in a while you can find old ghost town remnants, old buildings and things that are still standing from those days of the gold rush. Make sure you record this reading on your reading log today. If you tuned in and you were following along, you're welcome to record that. Thanks for following along.